Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I got a little bit of a different video. A few days ago it was my brother's birthday and I asked him what video I should make, and he originally told me that I should make a video where I talk about Hulk Hogan and just say positive things. Now, I was like, wow, that's like real difficult for me because I absolutely despise Hulk Hogan. I don't like him. I don't think he's good in ring and all that. He changed it actually to me just making a video about his favorite wrestler, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, when I was younger, I didn't grow up in the 90s. I was born in the 2000s, and for part of my life, I watched the Ruthless Aggression era. So I have a lot of nostalgia for the Ruthless Aggression era. But majority of my wrestling experience watching wise has been the modern era, aka like the PG era. So, when I was a lot younger, I of course knew who Stone Cold Steve Austin was. Like at that point, who doesn't know who he is? And I was interested in him. I think he's always cultivated me some way. Like he's always been intriguing to me personally because it's like the way he carries himself and whatnot. But I didn't really look at a lot of his matches and stuff when I was a lot younger, so I didn't really see a whole lot behind that. But as I got older, I looked at different promos, I looked at different matches, um, went out of my way to just watch a bunch of different things Stone Cold related. So now I can actually feel like I have an opinion on Stone Cold Steve Austin besides being like, yeah, he's okay. So let's dive into my thoughts on Stone Cold Steve Austin. I want to start off by talking about his time before he was Stone Cold Steve Austin. In WCW, he was a part of the Hollywood Blondes with, I think, Brian Pillman Jr., and ended up no longer working for WCW after a while. I'm not too sure. I've not gone into the full depths of WCW, so I don't really know a lot of things about I know a lot of things about WCW, but I don't know specific things about WCW. And he ended up coming into the WWE, and his gimmick was the Ringmaster. And Vince McMahon, the first time he saw who would end up becoming Stone Cold Steve Austin, he did not like him. He did not like him. He didn't think he would be able to make money off of him. He did not care for Stone Cold Steve Austin. When I heard that, I was like, okay, well, I was kind of wondering I'm curious in an alternate timeline, in an alternate universe, what Stone Cold Steve Austin and what the whole wrestling landscape would be like if he never became Stone Cold Steve Austin, if he just stayed as the Ringmaster. But he had what some people argue one of the best promos of all time, and it's a damn good promo. I'm not gonna lie, it's a really good promo. The Austin 316 promo. I don't need to recite it at this point. Anybody that's heard of wrestling most likely has heard that promo. If you have been a fan of wrestling, you've heard that promo. That promo is probably the biggest selling t-shirt of all time with Austin 316. It still gets massive buys now, and he's not been wrestling for so long, not including the recent time when at WrestleMania 38 when he was wrestling in Dallas when he wrestled Kevin Owens. Not counting that one, but his overall in-ring career has been pretty much 20 years. It's been since he was a full-time competitor. And with Stone Cold Steve Austin and around everything with that promo, it's interesting because he was not supposed to win that event. It was supposed to be Triple H. And I'm pretty sure, most likely, if you're a wrestling fan, you've heard this story. It was supposed to be Triple H, and then the curtain call happened where you had picture taken of good guys' faces and bad guys' heels hugging together as Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Kevin Nash, and Scott Hall. They hugged and embraced after their last match that uh, it was Scott Hall and Kevin Nash ended up having, or it was one of their final matches or something similar to that. And they came out and they hugged and all that, and word got back to WWE management that people took pictures of good guys and bad guys hugging each other. And this was a period of time where kayfabe was very important, keeping wrestling seeming real. So a lot of flack came down, and they couldn't do anything about Kevin Nash, and they couldn't do anything about Scott Hall because they were moving to WCW. They didn't want to punish Shawn because he was at the time, WWE champion. So they went with Hunter Hearst Helmsley, aka Triple H, where they were going to give him the King of the Ring tournament win, but they decided that because of that incident, he was no longer going to win it. He won it, I think, the next year, maybe a couple of years later, but he ended up winning one. But that's where Stone Cold Steve Austin ends up winning the King of the Ring tournament, making that promo, submitting a star, making one of the most paid for things in wrestling history, the Austin 316 t-shirt. And you see at different events, Money in the Bank, SummerSlam, whatever, you will see sometimes they will change that shirt to represent something around that town, that PLE, whatever special thing that's going on. Like, I want to say there was one that said like Canada 316, but I could be wrong. I don't fully remember what it was, but it's like the markability and off of that one thing is pretty spectacular. And I feel like if you're Vince McMahon, you're like, you hear that promo, you're like, wow, this is special. And Stone Cold Steve Austin was/is special. I just wanted to give a little bit of backstory before we fully get into talking about everything he's done. And I'll just start off by talking about his attire/look. I think his attire is so simplistic. It's black shorts, knee pads, or braces, knee braces, and boots, and wristy. That's it. But it's so simple. But he adds that little vest when he's coming down to the ring, and he has that swagger in his walk. Just immediately, you can just feel that there's something special anytime you see Stone Cold Steve Austin. And that is the case. I think that he has one of the greatest looks like in wrestling history. So simple. Goatee, bald head, pretty decently built, not like super muscly, but just built nicely, I guess, if that's the correct word I'm looking for. And it helped those little aspects of his, like, it was so simplistic, but it went like, it became special because of how simple it was. And he pulled it off so well. And it was sometimes when I see a lot of like kind of not like overly done wrestling gear, sometimes it doesn't look that great. Sometimes simple doesn't always mean better, but with Stone Cold Steve Austin, it always has. And to me, an example of how different Stone Cold Steve Austin was, when he had a vest on when you come to the ring, you're like, wow, this guy's awesome. But I want to say, it was WrestleMania 18. Stone Cold Steve Austin left his vest at the hotel And so he had to come out with a t-shirt, and you could just immediately tell that it was not it. It was not it. Not one bit. It was just not. It was either 18 or 19 where that happened. I want to say. I want probably 18 or 19. I can't fully think. But anyway, just the vest, the black shorts, the braces, the boots. So simple, looks so nice. The next thing I want to talk about is entrance music. To have a good wrestler, you need a good entrance. You can look at the main roster right now in the WWE, and most of those theme songs suck. So, when you have a song that's so synonymous and so likable to where just the beginning notes of that song, people are freaking out. Examples. One, obviously, Stone Cold Steve Austin. I think another example of you hear that the start of it and you're like, oh my God, this person's coming out. I feel like Goldberg is kind of that way with this WWE thing where it's like, you know how his theme song goes. I think it just overall, it makes a character more enjoyable. And the better the theme is, the more synonymous that theme is with that person, the better that wrestler will get over. Because how many times you sit there and you're like, oh my gosh, she's coming out, and you look and you're like, okay, well, I'm just going to read the Titantron because all these music sound the same nowadays. But Stone Cold Steve Austin, you have the glass shattering. And I think, I can never remember what WrestleMania was, but it's one of my favorite WrestleMania entrances. You have the glass shatter, and then bam, glass falls, and then Stone Cold Steve Austin just walks out, and he's like, oh my gosh, this guy is so badass. Because that's how it felt when you would hear that music. When you have a whole crowd going absolutely insane by glass shattering, you know you did something special. You know you did something special. And it's the same thing with John Cena, with The Rock, with a few different other wrestlers, CM Punk, Edge, for example. When you hear that, you're like, oh my gosh, like the beginning, you're just like, this is great, and I'm so excited to see this person here. So I think when you have who some people consider the best wrestling theme song, Stone Cold Steve Austin, I do not think that. My personal opinion, I think Slow Chemicals by Kane is the best theme song of all time. But there are people who genuinely debate that the Stone Cold Steve Austin theme is the best wrestling theme of all time for good reason. It's a damn good theme. It's a good listen. And it just like it gets you in the mood to just watch people beat the crap out of each other for like 20 minutes. It's great. I remember I freaked out twice that WrestleMania in Texas when his music hit, just because of how awesome it just sounded, and the crowd was so excited behind it. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm excited too. So to have like a thing that's that synonymous with that wrestler, it's great. It's amazing. Another thing I want to talk about is the finisher, the Stone Cold Stunner. I don't consider it the greatest thing, not greatest thing, but the greatest wrestling finisher of all time. But man, is it so good. I feel like when anyone else hits a stunner, I'm like, I do not care. It's not that good. But you have Stone Cold Steve Austin delivering 100 stunners back to back to back to back to back, and so on and so forth. Yes, please. He hits it good a lot of times. It's the only times it really looks bad. It's not even his fault. It's people taking the move incorrectly. So you have this synonymous move, and it's so awesome, and people love it so much that grown men at wrestling shows just stunner people. There'll be stunner parties and whatnot, and just anytime Stone Cold Steve Austin stunners somebody, it's like wow, and everyone's happy, everyone's smiling, everyone's like, this is so great and so much fun because it's so much fun. It's legitimately so like I love seeing it. I could watch it for so long, just him hitting it over and over and over and over and over and over again. I think that it might be top 3 most iconic finishers, because I think number 1 could be, you could consider RKO to be that, and then I think you could do Sweet Chin Music, and then I think it goes the Stone Cold Stunner, but I don't know which one's the most popular. It could legitimately just be the Stunner, and that would be reasonable because it's a great finishing move. Now, after the finishing move, let's talk about his overall in-ring ability. He put on banging matches. He put on great matches. You see the trilogy he had with The Rock at WrestleMania. You have the classic Bret Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin, WrestleMania 13. A match that's so good, people put it on that whole show on a Mount Rushmore or even a top 10 list of WrestleManias, even though that's the only good match on it. That's how good that match is. And when you have someone that's so talented in the ring and so lovable and so entertaining, there's a reason why he was the face of the company. And for good reason, too. Great wrestler. So many amazing things about him. Seems like a likable guy backstage. But you have like stellar matches he puts on. I would argue that the Kevin Owens versus Stone Cold Steve Austin from WrestleMania 38 was one of my favorite wrestling matches on that entire event. That's how good that match was, and Stone Cold Steve Austin was at like that was in 2022. I want to say it was either 2022. Yeah, it was 2022 because 2021 was the first WrestleMania back in front of crowds, and that one was WrestleMania 37. So it was WrestleMania 38 in Texas. Seeing that match, I enjoyed it every second of it. It was freaking awesome, and it just made me want to watch more of Stone Cold Steve Austin matches, and I have gone out of my way to watch some more, and I've enjoyed it, and I've sunk my teeth into it. Like WrestleMania X7, Rock versus Stone Cold, a classic WrestleMania match, a banger of a WrestleMania match. So good. There's a reason why he was the head of and like face of the company, because he's that awesome. Now, the last thing I want to talk about Stone Cold Steve Austin is not anything to do with his wrestling. I want to talk about him as a person. He's always someone who I kind of thought of as like right-leaning, like kind of like stereotypical kind of redneck. I wasn't assuming he was racist. I never thought he was racist. I'm just clarifying that. But it's like, I didn't know how he would necessarily feel with certain issues, and to have him be like supporting LGBTQ community and supporting equality and supporting all these different things. He is such an awesome guy, and he has one of my favorite podcasts. He has one of my favorite Instagrams. I love it when he talks about his cats, his cat Poncho, and then the world champion Poncho, his kitty cat, and I forgot the other one. Banjo, I want to say. It could be Banjo. I could be mistaken and just saying the wrong name anyway. But it's so awesome to see like how cool he was as as a wrestler and in ring, and his promo abilities and all these different things. To have him be genuinely such a good person outside of the ring is awesome. If you ask me, as like the face of the company up to that point, I think that Stone Cold Steve Austin was and still is the right choice for that to have been Stone Cold Steve Austin, because of how just great of a person he was. I mean, or is. He's still alive, thankfully. He's definitely someone I would like to put on a bucket list of people I'd like to meet one day. And if I ever got to meet him, that'd be awesome. But that's pretty much it for today's video. Just a quick video of me talking about Stone Cold Steve Austin. I guess I'll throw in a final statement. I think Stone Cold Steve Austin is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time and one of the greatest humans of all time. He is awesome. But I just wanted to make this quick video because my brother requested that I make one talking about his favorite wrestler. And so I was like, I need to make it. Went ahead, did. I enjoyed making this video for you guys. If you enjoyed, hit a like button, hit the subscribe button as well. If there's any wrestlers you want me to talk about specifically, or if there's any matches or PLEs or anything like that you would like for me to review, let me know down in the comments below and I'll do it for sure. You guys have a great rest of your day.